The deep space research ship Kralthik floated silently above the blue and white planet called Earth. From space, Earth looked calm, quiet even. To the ardent scientists on board, it was just another primitive world. Humans were barely spacefaring. Their weapons were outdated. Their minds were slow. Earth wasn't a threat. But then something strange happened. "Commander Vrix," said a young sensor officer, his 3 fingers tapping the glowing screen. "We picked up a signal." Coming from the planet, Commander Vrix didn't look away from his report. "Another human radio wave? Ignore it." "No, sir," the officer said, his voice shaking. "This one isn't from land. It's coming from the ocean." That made Vrix pause. He stood up and walked to the console. The signal was steady, repeating every 40 seconds. Wasn't human music or talking. It was patterned. "Translate it," Vrix ordered. The signal wasn't easy to crack. It took several hours, but when they finally got a partial translation, the room went silent. The message said, "Unit Bravo. Move to Grid Eco 7, strike pattern Delta 4, confirm readiness." A military command, from the ocean, from Earth. "But they don't have underwater armies," Vrix muttered, "do they?" The officers looked at each other. No one had an answer. To investigate, they sent a drone, a small sphere, silent and invisible to human radar. It entered Earth's atmosphere smoothly and dropped into the Pacific Ocean. The drone's camera flickered on, sank slowly, scanning coral reefs, fish schools, and deep-sea trenches. Everything looked normal. Then the signal came again, louder, closer. "Unit Bravo, confirm attack window."
"Act drone."
"Confirmed." "Wait drone." "Confirmed." On the screen, something moved in the distance. A blur, then another. Too fast. The drone's sensors picked up shapes. "Long, smooth, moving in groups. Dolphins," said the bio officer. "Earth animals, intelligent but harmless." Vrix leaned closer. "Then why are they circling the drone?" One dolphin swam straight toward the camera. It stopped just inches from the lens, stared. Its eye was calm, focused, too focused. Then the drone exploded. The entire bridge of the Kralthik went dark for 3 seconds. When the screens returned, only one image remained, a still frame, a dolphin's face. Staring, they sent 2 more drones. Both were destroyed in minutes. The third drone got closer to the source of the signal. It found something deep in a trench. Metal structures, antennas, hidden turrets, strange rotating devices that looked like sonar cannons. One officer whispered, "That's a military base." Underwater, that wasn't possible. Humans had no record of it. No nation claimed it. No communication came from it. But there it was, real, alive, active. Then the dolphins appeared again. This time, they weren't alone. With them were strange, large shapes, possibly whales moving in formation. Each one had equipment on their backs, sensor pods, blinking lights, even what looked like missile tubes. "What in the stars is this?" Vrix whispered. The final signal. The drone picked up was short but clear. Surface eyes confirmed. "Begin wave silence protocol. No witnesses." Then static. Hours later, the Kralthik tried to warn the Artel High Command. But their message was jammed not by human satellites, but by ocean interference. The planet's oceans were alive, not just biologically, but militarily. Commander Vrix made a decision. Need answers, not guesses. Prepare the dive team. Artel weren't stupid. Their scientists had studied hundreds of planets. Their divers had explored toxic waters, lava seas, and frozen lakes. 4 elite divers were sent to Earth's Pacific Ocean. They used invisible suits and advanced rebreathers. They believed they were undetectable. They were wrong. 20 minutes into the dive, the team reported strange movements. The water pressure felt wrong. Their compass spun in circles. Then one diver screamed. His line went slack. The other 3 turned and saw him rising toward the surface, wrapped in some kind of balloon. No, not a balloon.
"Ow!"
It was made of bubbles. A dolphin swam beside him, guiding him up gently. "What is this?" the team leader shouted. "They're helping him." That's when the ambush began. Dolphins came from all directions. Not attacking, but disarming. One used sonar blasts to knock a diver unconscious. Another pulled a tool belt off a waist. Every move was smart, fast, planned, then just as quickly. The Dolphins vanished, leaving the remaining two divers alive, floating and scared. A minute later, a human submarine appeared. Not military, not marked. But it opened its hatch, and the Dolphins pushed the unconscious diver inside. That diver was never seen again. Back on the crawlthik, Rick stared at the recordings. Why would Dolphins rescue him? Why give him to humans? Are they working together? The truth was unthinkable. The oceans of Earth were not wild. They were watched, they were armed, they were angry. 2 days later, a signal was sent from Earth's ocean again. This time, it wasn't encoded. It was simple, direct. You are being watched. Leave our waters. Rick's ordered a probe to send a reply. We come in peace. Who are you? The answer came instantly. One word. Guardians. And then silence. No more signals. No more drones returned. No more signs. But every time they scanned the oceans, they saw movement. Shadows. Shapes. Too fast. Too smart. Commander Vrick stood at the viewing window, watching the calm blue planet spin slowly below. He didn't see a quiet world anymore. He saw a trap and waited in the deep. The Artel Empire had explored over 300 worlds. They had fought wars, won battles, and wiped out primitive species without a second thought. But Earth was different. After the drone incidents and the message from the ocean, the Artel High Command didn't send warships. They sent scientists. They thought the Dolphins were just curious animals, maybe trained by humans. Nothing more? They were wrong, eh? Small research pod landed in the Pacific Ocean 2 days later. Inside were 3 Artel researchers. Zero. The team leader and marine expert Kavax. A young technician Dren. A silent soldier in a diving suit. They used stealth gear. No human satellite could detect them. Their goal: to capture one of the dolphins and study it. They entered the water at night. The ocean was calm. To calm, 10 minutes into the dive, they heard clicks and whistles echoing in. The deep dolphin communication, Zirl said with a smile. Just noise, but the sounds were not random. Kavax realized the clicks were repeating coded. Commander, think they're tracking us. Zirl laughed. They're animals. They don't know what a tracker is. Then something moved. Behind them, fast, a blur shot past Dren's shoulder. Another zipped between Zirl's legs, or shadows circled below. They're surrounding us. Kavax yelled suddenly. The lights shut off. Darkness, only the sonar screen remained. It was lighting up with dozens of shapes. Dolphins, but not just swimming. Moving in formation. Dren grabbed his spear gun. But it was too late. A sharp pop echoed. A tiny sonic blast hit his helmet in. He blacked out. Zirl panicked. Abort mission. Back to the pod. Kavax turned, only to see their escape pod gone. Or dragged away by dolphins. Then something even stranger happened. A dolphin swam up to them, slow. Careful, and dropped something in front of Zirl. It was a toolkit from their pod. I think they want us to see this, Kavax whispered. The dolphin waited, watching them. Zirl opened the toolkit. Inside, a message was scratched into the lid. Not with ink. With teeth it read, "We know what this is. You are not the first." That message sent a chill through both researchers. These dolphins understood tools. They knew who the Artel were. Zirl didn't want to believe it. This must be a human trick. Dolphins can't think like this. But then they saw something that changed everything. A school of dolphins swam past, carrying something between them. A wounded Artel diver. It was Drain, still alive, breathing. They were rescuing him. The dolphins gently pushed him toward a new object, to human submersible, rising from the trench. It was black, unmarked, quiet. The hatch opened, and a mechanical arm pulled Dren inside. The dolphins followed the sub until it disappeared into the deep. Zirl and Kavax didn't chase it. They were frozen. When they finally returned to the surface hours later, they were silent. Their pod was still missing, but another one had been dropped by humans. The hatch opened automatically. and a voice greeted them through speakers. "You have been watched. You have seen enough." Beside the pod was a simple message on the wall. "They are not pets. They are not ours. They are Earth's first defense. Now go." Ziril and Kavax were picked up by the Kralthik the next morning. Their reports were unbelievable. "So," Commander Vrick said, crossing his arms, "you're telling me Dolphins attacked, captured, and returned one of our own 2 humans?" "Yes, sir," Ziril said, his voice flat. Kavax added, "And they did it. With precision, like soldiers." The room was silent. Then someone asked the question no one wanted to say aloud. What if they're not following human orders? That night, Kavax reviewed old data. Earth's records showed Dolphins were friendly, playful, and intelligent. But there were stories hidden. Quiet, ignored, Dolphins circling boats in storms, leading them to safety, Dolphins disabling illegal fishing nets, Dolphins fighting sharks not for food. But to protect swimmers, Dolphins showing anger when humans polluted the sit wasn't random. It was a pattern. He found a human report from 1997, classified and redacted. One line stood out. "The Dolphins are organizing. They're not waiting for us to lead. They're waiting for us to get out of the way." That report ended with a name, Project Neptune, but the rest was gone. Back on the Kralthik, Dren woke up in the medbay. He was alive, bruised, and confused. "I don't remember how I got out," he whispered. "What's the last thing you saw?" asked Cyril. Dren frowned. A dolphin, staring at me. It didn't blink. Just watched. He paused. I felt like it knew I was afraid. Then he added something strange. It wasn't looking at me like prey. It was judging me. Commander Vrix called an emergency meeting. He stood in front of the ship's crew, the ocean spinning slowly beneath them. "On the holomap, I thought Earth was weak," he said. "I thought its oceans were unguarded. I was wrong." He pointed to the Pacific Trench. "There is something down there, a force, command. We don't know if it's human, alien, or something else." He looked each officer in the eye. "But we do know this. They let our man live. They sent him back, which means they want us to leave. That was mercy. Next time it might be war." But not everyone believed it. Some on the ship laughed behind closed doors. "It's just animals," they whispered. "We're the Artel. We don't lose to fish." Those men never returned. From their next dive, their gear was found days later, folded neatly on a drifting buoy. Inside one helmet was another bite mark. Not deep, just enough to leave a message. You were warned. And somewhere, deep beneath the waves, a silent signal echoed again. Eyes above, confirmed. Formation Alpha ready. Waiting threat level. The Dolphins were still watching. And this time, they weren't alone. Years before the Kralthik hovered above Earth, years before aliens feared the oceans, the humans already knew. Something strange was happening beneath the waves. It started quietly in 1993. A marine biologist named Dr. Leela Monroe worked at a secret naval base near the Gulf of Mexico. Her job was simple: observe dolphin behavior. But the dolphins weren't just learning tricks. They were solving puzzles, complex ones. One day a dolphin named Echo moved pebbles around in a pattern. That formed a map of the underwater base. Dr. Monroe stared at it for hours. "That's not play," she whispered. "That's planning." The U.S. Navy saw potential, so Project Neptune was born. Officially, a dolphin intelligence and rescue program. Secretly, a tactical, underwater training experiment. The dolphins were taught how to find mines, track submarines, and even plant tiny devices on enemy ships. But soon, something strange happened. The dolphins started learning faster than expected. They began doing things they weren't taught. One group used coral to jam sonar waves from enemy boats. Another used a sunken plane's metal to build a hiding spot from cameras. One dolphin even brought a broken drone to a human divan, pointed at the damaged wire as if asking, "Fix this." They weren't just trained. They were thinking, and they had started working together without orders. By 2001, Project Neptune had spread to 5 nations, H-1 building secret underwater, labs to train dolphins. But there was one big problem. The Dolphins weren't staying where they were told. They were moving between bases, crossing oceans. Sharing knowledge, unofficially, scientists started calling them the Silent Army in 2009. A hidden lab near Australia went offline for 3 days. When humans returned, the entire base had been flooded. Nothing was stolen, no dolphin harmed, but every terminal had a new file, a single message. We are not weapons. We are watchers. The military tried to shut the program down. They didn't want smart dolphins. They wanted obedient ones. But by then, it was too late. Dr. Monroe had kept a secret journal. She'd been teaching dolphins ethics. Right and wrong. War and peace. She'd thought it was harmless. But then Echo disappeared. A year later, Echo returned with a scar over one eye and a strange antenna on his back. Monroe swam with him one last time that day. Echo showed her something, a deep trench where dolphins had built something strange, something mechanical, something glowing. She was told never to speak of it again. A week later, Dr. Monroe vanished. The official report said she drowned, but her research was missing, and her last message to a colleague was chilling. They're organizing. They're protecting the oceans, not just from us, from what's coming. Fast forward to the present. On the Kralthik, Kavax dug through intercepted human files. Some were classified, some were redacted, but all of them told the same story. Humans lost control. And the dolphins didn't care. Zero didn't believe it. No animal evolves that fast. But the evidence was overwhelming. Sonar disruptors built from coral. Weapon sensors stolen and buried in the deep. Underwater towers humming with strange energy, ever traced to human power. Commander. Vrix ordered a satellite scan. It returned a shocking result. Over 300 structures hidden across Earth's oceans. Some large, some tiny, all active, all positioned. Like defense points. Are they under human control? Someone asked. Kavax shook his head. No, that's the worst part. The humans stopped watching years ago. But the dolphins never stopped training. They had continued the drills, the patrols, the missions on their own. And they weren't just learning from humans. Anymore, they had started learning from us. Kavax showed video clips. Dolphins mimicking Artel sonar codes, copying the movements of alien drones, blocking warp signals. Underwater, using strange frequency blasts, they're adapting, Kavax said. Zer leaned back. They're not soldiers. They're a civilization. Then the Kral. They received a message. Not from humans, not from satellites, from the ocean. The signal repeated only once. Drills complete. Eyes above confirmed. Wave 3 formations prepared. Surface breach protocol. Locked and ready. What's Wave 3? Vrix asked. Kavax frowned. I think it means attack preparation. That night, deep beneath the Pacific, something old and silent woke up. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a base. It was a command center. 10 dolphins. Swam in formation. Above them, whales floated like warships. Mechanical jellyfish blinked red as they scanned the sea. In the darkest part of the trench, Echo waited. He was old now, scarred. Wiser, he looked up, and he clicked. Once dashed slowly, the army listened. They weren't waiting for humans anymore. They weren't asking permission. They had trained for decades. Now they were ready. The Artel Empire still didn't believe the full truth. Yes, drones had vanished. Yes, one diver had been rescued. Yes, the dolphins seemed organized. But surely it was just a strange animal trick. Primitive Earth couldn't possibly defend itself. It's not against Artel technology, so they tested the theory. They sent war drones. The drones were fast, silent, and deadly. Built to hunt entire starships in asteroid fields, they were now ordered to patrol Earth's oceans. Objective: map the sea. Mark threats. Strike if attacked. They launched 50 of them. Within an hour, 47 were gone. Back on the Kralthik. Alarms flashed. The data return from the first drone was confusing. Short-range sonar, jammed, temperature sensors, overloaded, propulsion systems, shredded. What could do this to military drones? Rix demanded. Kavak stared at the video frame. It was blurry, but clear enough to see the final image. A whale. Not swimming. Charging, drone 23 recorded. A different scene. It hovered near a coral reef when a pod of dolphins appeared. They circled calmly, no threat detected. But then something strange. One dolphin had metal wiring around its flippers. Another had what looked like a sonar dish fused to its back. Are those implants? Cyril asked. The drone's camera zoomed in. The dolphin turned to face it. It shimmered with a red light. Then the signal cut out. The last drone. 49 sent the most terrifying footage of all. It reached deep into the Mariana Trench. No life at first. Just pressure, black water, and silence. But then it passed something that wasn't natural. Structure. Huge metal. Covered in kelp and coral. It had no windows. No markings. Just one large symbol on the side. A circle made of 3 arcs. One of the arcs had a dolphin. The second, a whale. Third, a human. And beneath it, in Earth's English language, Alliance. Ocean Watch. Then the structure opened. 2 mechanical arms reached out. Drone for 9. Was pulled inside. It never sent anything back. The Kralthik crew held a silent meeting. Even Vrix looked unsure now. We just lost 50 of our best drones, he said slowly. 2. Animals? Cyril asked, his voice cracking. No, Kavak said. Not animals, something smarter, something watching. He showed new data. Every drone had been tracked from launch. The Dolphins had known where they were going before they even arrived. That meant only one thing. They were watching us the whole time. Meanwhile, on Earth, the ocean was quiet. Fishermen reported dolphins acting strangely, guarding certain regions, pushing boats away from areas that seemed normal. Luxury yacht crossed the restricted waters near the Mariana Trench. It vanished. Days later, it washed up on the shores of Indonesia, but one thing remained, on the deck. Someone had scratched a message into the wood using sharp, careful marks. Leave the deep alone. Back in orbit, Rix considered launching surface scans. Heat sensors, orbit mapping satellites, wave pressure bombs, but each time they tried to activate the systems, something blocked them, sir, Kavak said, checking. The logs were being jammed. By humans? Rix asked. No, by the ocean. Even their orbital nukes failed. They had tested them on other planets' earthquakes. Tidal waves, cities turned to dust. But when they tried to unlock the warhead codes for Earth, the codes scrambled somehow. The ocean was interrupting our tel systems. That wasn't just strange, it was impossible. Then came the final warning. A signal, crystal clear. Not from land. Not from satellites. From the sea. It was human in voice. Calm. But it spoke with power. We are not your enemy. But this world is protected. You are being watched. From below. At night, Kavaks couldn't sleep. He watched old human videos, dolphins rescuing children, fighting sharks, breaking illegal nets. He watched newer ones, military dolphins, disabling torpedoes, rescuing wounded soldiers. But one video froze his breath. It showed dolphins surrounding a nuclear submarine that had gone silent. No humans aboard survived, but the warheads. They had all been removed and stacked carefully. On the ocean floor, no explosion. Just a message scratched into the hull. We do not play with fire. Neither should you. Kavax looked at the screen and whispered to himself, they're not protecting humans. They're protecting the planet. On the Kralthik, Vrix stood at the observation window, watching the ocean roll peacefully below. But now he didn't see peace. He saw silence. Heavy silence. The silence before a war. Because the ocean wasn't just full of life. It was full of eyes, and they were looking up. Space pirates were common across the outer trade routes. Most stayed away from Earth. It wasn't worth the trouble. But one crew, the Zareth Claw, decided to raid a civilian transport ship entering Earth orbit. The ship carried scientists, children, and supplies, no weapons, no defense. Perfect target, or so the pirates thought. The Zareth Claw attacked fast, disabling the engines and boarding the ship. Inside, they herded the humans like cattle. They laughed as they tore through cargo, shouting in their guttural alien tongue. "We'll take what we want, then dump the rest." One pirate raised his plasma rifle toward a crying boy, but before he could fire, the lights flickered. Then, everything went dark. At first, the pirates thought it was a power issue. Then they heard something strange. Clicks. Whistles. It wasn't coming from the ship. It was coming from the ocean below in orbit. A camera drone on the Crawlthik recorded what happened next. From the Pacific Ocean, multiple dark objects launched small, sleek, fast. They weren't human missiles. They weren't aircraft. They were underwater pods, silent and smooth as shadows. Each one carried something inside, something alive. The pods reached the human ship in minutes. The pirates noticed too late. The first pod smashed through the hull like a spear. It didn't explode. It cracked open, and from inside, dolphins emerged. But these weren't ordinary dolphins. They wore lightweight armor. Small blinking devices were attached to their backs. Their eyes shimmered with red HUD overlays. They knew exactly where to go. In the chaos that followed, the pirates opened fire, but their weapons jammed. The dolphins moved fast too, fast to hit. One used a sonic burst to knock down 3 pirates. Another triggered an emergency lockdown, trapping the rest in a corridor. Then, without killing anyone, they moved to the human captives. The dolphins hovered in the airlock, then tapped a panel. Escape pods opened. Children and scientists were guided. Into them by gentle nudges and chirps, they were calm. Safe. 10 minutes later, the pirate ship exploded. Not from the outside. From within, sabotage, controlled, clean, no bodies. Only wreckage. From the ground, human satellites picked up a message left in the debris. Not words, a symbol, a circle of 3 arcs. Dolphin, human, and beneath it, rescue complete. Strike successful. Ocean Watch active. On the Crawlthik, Vrix watched the footage in silence. They replayed it 10 times. The speed, the precision, the discipline. This wasn't a reaction, Kovacs said. This was a mission, Zero added. They didn't save the humans out of emotion. This was strategy. Vrix leaned forward. They neutralized a hostile force, without warning us, without permission, pointed at the screen. That wasn't a rescue. That was a tactical strike. In the following days, similar incidents happened. A whaling ship vanished later, found grounded on a reef. Crew unharmed. Engine fried by high-frequency pulses. A submarine carrying illegal weapons was turned upside down and delivered to a U.S. base with a pod of dolphins clicking until humans came to retrieve it. An undersea cable carrying classified alien communications, cut cleanly, placed with coral. Someone asked, "Why are they doing this now?" Kovacs answered, "Because they know they're being watched. And now they're sending a message." Later, a human space station released a statement. "We have no official program called Ocean Watch. No military dolphins. No undersea weapons." But the next day, a hacker group leaked footage of a hidden underwater base, dark, ancient, covered in coral, but very real. The footage showed dolphins swimming in and out with glowing eyes. The message under the video said, "The ocean is not silent. It's preparing." On the Crawlthik, one junior officer whispered, "This is bigger than we thought." Rix nodded slowly. "It's not about humans anymore," he said. "The dolphins aren't guarding cities or people," he pointed down. "At Earth, they're guarding the planet itself." Later that week, a science probe sent into the ocean was returned. Not destroyed, not damaged, just placed on the deck of the Crawlthik by a wave. Inside it was a message. This time, spoken in perfect Artel dialect. "Your tools are safe, but watch where you aim them. The sea is alive. It remembers." Everyone on the ship stared at the screen in silence. Kovacs said what they were all thinking. That wasn't a warning. That was a line in the sand. The Crawlthik hovered in Earth's orbit like a nervous hawk. Its scanners stayed locked on the planet's oceans. Its crew stopped laughing. No more jokes about dumb sea creatures. Now they watched the waves with fear. But Kovacs, the young Artel technician, wanted answers, not fear, not guesses, just truth. One night, he reviewed the last transmission from drone 49. The drone had entered the Mariana Trench before disappearing. Most of the video was static, but frame by frame, Kovacs saw something, a flash of light. He enhanced it. The shape was circular, with smaller lights spinning along its rim. It wasn't natural. He froze the image. There, etched into the metal, was a pattern, a map. It wasn't a star map. It was Earth, but not the land. The ocean's dots glowed across every major sea: Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, Arctic. Each had a label. Symbols, codes. Kovacs ran them through the translation matrix. They weren't locations. They were command centers. He counted them, 318 sites, each one deep underwater, far from any human base, each connected by strange, curving lines, not straight like human cables, but natural, like current paths or migratory trails. He zoomed closer. Some of the labels translated to Echo Outpost Wave Node Alpha, Guardian Relay 12 inches Surface Observation Zone, and 1, Hidden Deep in Antarctica Sea, Command Core Silence Protocol Ready. Kovacs's hand shook. This wasn't just defense. This was a network, an organized, military grid controlled by creatures humans called Playful. He shared the file with Zero. "This is real," he whispered. "They're not just reacting. They've been building, planning." Cyril stared at the map. Why would Dolphins need a command core? No one answered, but that wasn't the most terrifying part. The last label on the map translated into one word: Ascension. Kovacs tried to alert Commander Vrix, but when he sent the file it bounced back, blocked. He tried again. Same result then. His screen flickered. A new message appeared. "No sender. You saw what was not meant for you. Stand down." He rushed to the command deck but was stopped by 2 guards, by order of Fleet Council. They said, "You are to remain in your quarters." "Why?" Kovacs asked, but the guards didn't answer. They already knew. "Zero found him that night. I showed the map to someone high up," she said. "He shut it down, told me it was fake." But his hands were shaking. Kovacs leaned forward. "What if? They already know?" Zero nodded. "They do." The truth spread quietly across the ship. Whispers in the halls. The ocean isn't Earth's weakness. It's Earth's shield, and it doesn't serve humans. It protects Earth itself. But then another question appeared. What does ascension mean? No one knew, until the next signal arrived. It didn't come to the Kral show. It came to the Artel. High command, the homeworld, far away. A direct beam from Earth, encrypted in Dolphin sonar, translated by human systems, and now played across the stars. The surface is watched, the sky is warned. Ascension begins when the stars cross the line, and they already have. The council panicked. They ordered silence. They claimed the ocean. Map was a hoax. They deleted files. But it was too late. Across Artel space, rogue scientists shared fragments of the ocean map. Pilots passed rumors. Soldiers spoke in whispers. There's something under the sea. Something that sees. Something that waits. And back on Earth, in a dark trench no human had touched, the signal repeated quietly every hour. Ascension protocol, charged, awaiting final threat level. Kovacs stared out the viewing window one last time. He didn't see a blue planet. He saw a mind, alive, hidden, vast, and watching, always watching. Long before the Artel arrived, long before the Dolphins became soldiers, human leaders had already discovered something deep beneath the sea, something they chose to hide. In 1981, a deep-sea expedition from the UN was sent to explore an uncharted trench near the South Pacific. The mission was classified. Publicly, they said it was research. Privately, they were following a strange sonar signal, one that repeated every 6 minutes for over 2 years. The signal wasn't human, but it was also not alien. The submarine. USS Monarch was the first to go down. It reached 11,000 meters, then disappeared from radar. No wreckage. No emergency beacon. Gone. 3 days later, it resurfaced. No one inside. Only one message carved into the inner wall. The sea is not empty. Project was shut down. But some scientists like Dr. Leela Monroe didn't walk away. They stayed. Quietly, carefully, and over time they began to understand. The Dolphins weren't just learning. They were guarding something in 1996. Dr. Monroe went deep with a dolphin named Echo. It was supposed to be a routine mission instead. Echo led her off course into a cave beneath a trench hidden from sonar. There she saw it. A structure, not made by humans, not made by dolphins either. It was old, metal, but overgrown with coral and time. It pulsed slowly, like it was breathing. Echo stopped swimming and looked at her then. Without making a sound, he pressed his snout to the wall. The structure lit up. Lines glowed blue. Symbols appeared, and then a projection formed in the water. It showed Earth, its oceans, its life, its history, and its defenders. That was the moment Dr. Monroe realized the dolphins weren't protecting the ocean because humans told them to. They were doing it because something older had told them to. Back on the crawlthik, Kovacs reviewed human records, deep files long buried, erased, or lost. He found one labeled Origin Site, Non-Human Aquatic Intelligence. Inside were photos of a glowing trench base, video of dolphins entering and exiting at regular intervals. One report said, "The species shows coordination beyond training. They follow orders, but not ours. All attempts to control the site have failed. But the dolphins allow us to see only what they choose." Zero stared at the images. "These aren't tools. These are sacred places." Kovacs nodded. "They didn't build the oceans, but something did. Something they serve. And now they protect it." Commander Vrix called a final meeting. "There are now 3 facts we must accept," he said. Earth's oceans are under the protection of dolphins and whales. Those species are not acting alone. Something beneath them commands respect and fear. He looked out the window, down at the glowing planet. "We came here thinking humans were weak," he said. "But we missed the real power. It's been underwater the whole time." Meanwhile, the Artel High Command received a warning this time, not from humans, from a new signal. It came in dolphin sonar, translated by Earth's orbiting satellites, then bounced across the stars. Ascension command active. Planet status watched. Violation will trigger response. Surface species warned. Sky species next. The council panicked again. They ordered silence. They denied everything. But deep inside, they knew. They had awakened something ancient. And now, it was awake back on Earth. Seismic monitors picked up strange movements deep in the trenches. Not earthquakes, openings, tunnels. Thousands of dolphins began migrating across the oceans not at random, but along precise routes, to specific points, like soldiers gathering for deployment. 1. Final human file taken from Project Neptune was decrypted by Kovacs. It was Dr. Monroe's last recorded voice log. "We didn't make them guardians. We only discovered the truth too late. The ocean has its own empire. It just doesn't need to be seen. Until now." Kovacs stood at the edge of the observation deck, staring at Earth. He whispered, "They never needed humans to fight. They only needed a reason, and now they had one." The skies over Earth were quiet. The oceans were boiling, not from heat, from motion, from preparation, across the planet. Millions of dolphins, whales, orcas, and other deep-sea species moved together, not randomly, not like animals, like units, dot lines, patterns, circles around the deepest parts of the sea. Even human satellites noticed. Some scientists warned the UN, this is not natural behavior. They were ignored until a message came. It didn't come through normal channels. Not from a government. Not from the military. It came through every underwater microphone used to study whales and dolphins. Hundreds of them. And every signal said the same thing. Earth is aware. The ocean remembers. You have broken the surface peace. We rise now. The Artel tried to leave. They sent 5 scout ships to break orbit. Only 2 made it. The other 3, they didn't explode. They were pulled down. One was last seen dragged beneath the sea off the Pacific coast, vanishing. In a perfect spiral of water and sound, Kavax saw the footage. There was no weapon, he whispered. The ocean just opened. Zero monitored communications. Earth's radio towers had gone silent. But underwater, signal density tripled. Sonar pulses, unknown languages. Echo codes, one message broke through in both dolphin clicks and human. Voice. The sea was quiet because it trusted the surface. That trust is gone. Then the real war began. But it didn't look like war. No bombs. No space lasers, just waves. Gigantic ones rising from nowhere and hitting isolated. Military bases on the coast. Satellites were knocked offline by tornadoes of water vapor, launched from the sea like missiles. Nuclear submarines vanished. Fleets. Near the ocean's surface, crushed from below by sonar blasts that melted metal and all over Earth, dolphins began appearing near human ships. They didn't attack, they just hovered, waiting, watching when a ship fired. The ocean answered with precision, with tactical force, like a military would, like a mind would. Back on the crawl thick, panic spread. Commander Vrix paced the command deck. We came to study a primitive world, he said, but we've discovered a military system that lives beneath its waves. Something no species warned us about. He looked at Kavax. You were right, he said. They're not animals, they're sentinels. Then now we're intruders. Zero found an intercepted transmission. A deep one broadcast only once, then gone. It came from beneath Antarctica. Same location, labeled Command Corps. On the map from before, the message was short. Ascension complete. Surface threat classified as hostile. Ocean defense network now fully active. All over Earth. Dolphins began glowing. Not brightly, just enough to be seen in deep waters, and the waters began to move differently. Tides shifted without the moon. Storms formed with no warning. Hurricanes struck in perfect patterns. They weren't. Whether they were strikes, the UN called for peace, so did several alien governments watching from orbit, but Earth gave no response. Not from humans, not from governments. Only the ocean answered. One final transmission. We warned you. The surface is not yours to threaten. Let the stars remember Earth is not alone. And then silence. No. More attacks, the ocean calmed. But the fear remained, because now, every time someone looked at Earth from space, they saw a blue planet, beautiful, still, but underneath that calm surface. They knew something was watching. Kavax made one last report. It was sent to the AR. Tell High Command, simple words, do not test this planet again. They are not pets. They are not wild. They are protectors, and we were lucky to survive. Say the dolphins were created by something older. Some say they evolved on their own, guided by a force deeper than science. But one truth remains. They thought dolphins were harmless, then watched a rescue that looked like a tactical strike. And the galaxy, it never forgot.